Hello and welcome back to my channel. So you might have seen on TV, on different birthing programs like One Born Every Minute, mamas up on their back, holding their breath, holding their legs back as far as they can, and screaming or grinning or holding their breath or pushing down in a way that's really forceful or aggressive to try and get their babies out. And I'm here to tell you 3 huge tips that can change the direction, the duration, and the comfort of that pushing phase when it comes to actually meeting your baby. I want you to, by the end of this little video, push your baby out in a way that is peaceful, is gentle, and is a gorgeous, efficient transitional way for your baby to go from inside the womb to outside the womb. So let's dive straight into my top tips. So my tip number 1 to make sure that you have a really gentle but also efficient pushing phase when it comes to meeting your baby is to wait for your body's Ferguson reflex to kick in. What is your Ferguson's reflex? That is the reflex that happens in your body whether you are alert and awake or even if you're in a coma. So if you're in a comatose state, this still happens. And that happens as your baby's head meets that lovely hammock or sling of muscles known as your pelvic floor. So as your baby's head meets the pelvic floor, your body's urge to push your baby out kicks in. So it's an involuntary reflex. And what happens is you'll feel that urge to bear down, that sound that you'll hear mamas making in many birthing videos if you've been watching them. So waiting for that to actively happen can make a huge impact in terms of how your birthing process actually goes. So for instance, if you go on to have an epidural for pain relief during your labor, laboring down for 1, if not 2 hours once you and baby are okay, means that your baby's head is more likely to be at that point and you're going to have a much shorter and a more efficient pushing phase. I also want you to focus in on your breath during this time. So using your blossom breath to soften your pelvic floor and create space for your baby's head to come through by connecting your face, your jaw, and your pelvic floor. Using the power of visualization can help reduce the likelihood of you tearing, but also encourage your baby to have a much slower and gentler transition to extrauterine life. So my last tip then is to get up off your back. As it comes to the pushing phase, just as with all the other phases in your labor, you want to create as much space in the pelvic capacity that your baby is currently at. So for instance, when it comes to the pushing phase, your baby is at the outlet of the pelvis. So we want to create as much space here as possible. So when we're looking at the diameters here, we want to be thinking about having our knees in and our heels out to create more space here for baby to come through. But also by getting up off your back, what you're doing, if you're imagining you're on your back here, is baby doesn't have to go uphill. So it means less work for you and less work for baby. But also what happens with the sacrum here is it gets compressed. So it can be very uncomfortable for you and reduces the likelihood of your baby having space to come through there as well. So I would encourage you to get either just onto your side here like this, or in an ideal world, you'll be up on all fours. So your baby's got a much smoother journey and much more space in that pelvic outlet. So get up off your back would be my last tip for a more efficient, smoother, faster pushing phase of your labor. So if you want to remember my top 3 tips for having a faster, more efficient laboring process, in particular when it comes to the pushing phase, remember the acronym BLOW. B is for your breath, in particular your blossom breath, thinking about the connection between your face, your jaw, and your pelvic floor, that sphincter law that doesn't lie. L, labor down, waiting for your baby's head to meet that lovely sling of muscles at the pelvic floor, and the Ferguson's reflex kick in means you don't have to work to push your baby out, but the instinctual urge to bear down and push your baby out will work for itself. And then last one is O, which means get up off your back. Create the space in your pelvic outlet for your baby to move through in a way that's going to reduce the likelihood of tearing and make that transition much easier for you and for baby. I hope you found this helpful, and I'll see you in my next video.